Hello, my good friends. Welcome to episode 7 of Matt Life for Real Life. I'm James Terlecki with Next Level Martial Arts Academy. Today we are discussing the topic of persistence. Persistence is lasting, enduring, right? Persistent in the spite of opposition or hardship or trial or difficulty, right? Just continuing through that. Now, I don't know if you've ever studied the life of Abraham Lincoln, but we know about his success, his accomplishments, but not many people know that he was met with some of the greatest failures of any man. Let me just read you some of his failures. He failed in business at the age of 21, was defeated in the legislative race at the age of 22. Failed again in business at the age of 24. Overcame the death of his sweetheart at the age of 26. Had a nervous breakdown at the age of 27. Lost a congressional race at the age of 34. Lost a senatorial race at the age of 45. Failed in an effort to become vice president at the age of 47. Lost a senatorial race at the age of 49. And then he was elected President of the United States at age 52. Would you call him a failure? Because it's quite obvious throughout his life, he failed many times. Again and again, right? Over and over, repeated failures. But Lincoln did not look at these failures as the end. He just seen them as a detour, right? To where he wanted to go and to what he wanted to accomplish and where he wanted to be. And the key to growth and what this show is about, taking things to the next level, reaching our full potential, we need persistence, right? Because all of us we're all gonna be met with failure in life. Okay? If you're not failing all the time, you're not trying. I fail every day, right? And especially learning not just on the mat but off the mat, as far as my role as a husband, as a father, as a business owner, trying different things, failing, they don't work, got to go back to the drawing board. But I'm persistent, right? I'm gonna keep going, I'm gonna keep enduring, I'm gonna keep pushing through despite the obstacles and the challenges that I face. And that's how we need to be. Now, there was one of my training partners back this was years ago, when I first started at the Gracie Academy. His name was Dan. Dan was one of the least talented as far as like athletic ability. He didn't play any other sports, basketball, football, nothing like that. He wasn't an athlete, okay? And so he wasn't as gifted as most people in the room. But the one thing about Dan was that he was persistent, okay? It didn't matter how many times he got tapped. It didn't matter how many times he had to cry uncle. My man was persistent. Every time I came to class, Dan was there. Dan trained whenever he had the opportunity to train, and he flourished. He became one of the top grapplers in a room full of killers because of his persistence. Not because of his giftedness, not because of his athletic ability, not because of his potential, but because of his persistence. My man was persistent. Okay, he didn't let failure stop him. He didn't let different obstacles or shortcomings stop him. He was persistent. He kept at it. And because of that attribute, he became one of the top dogs in the room. Now, are you, if you train, are you persistent on the mat? As the owner of Next Level Martial Arts Academy, I have had the opportunity to meet and watch so many people pass through my academy, right? Because when they're met with failure, because again, everybody taps. Everybody has to give up, especially early on as we're just starting out, grappling. That tapping is part of it. That's how you learn. Okay, and most people, they can't handle that. Either their ego can't handle that, or they figure this is just not worth it, right? But the majority of people give up because they lack persistence. They're not, once they're met with hardship, obstacle, difficulty, they just throw in the towel. They're not persistent. And then you have others who, just over and over again, they're getting tapped, hard training, and they leave, they're sore the next day, but they're persistent. They don't give up. They keep going. Okay? And those are the two types of people. Now, this could apply on the mat in the training area. It can apply off the mat in your everyday life, in your marriage, in your relationship with your kids, in your relationship with work, right? Where are you with your goals as far as being a husband, being a father, being a business owner, or where you want to be in a position at work? You're low on the pole, but you want to be at the top. Okay? Well, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take persistence. Are you okay with day by day chipping away at this goal? Right? Have you resolved in your mind and in your heart that I'm going to accomplish this thing no matter what it takes? I'm going to take it one day at a time. I'm going to take one step closer to reach my goal every day of my life. Is that you? Are you persistent? Now, there's a story, many called it, it's known as 3 feet away from gold. There's a man, R.U. Darby and his uncle from Maryland, and they caught the gold fever. They wanted to strike it rich, okay? So they headed west out to Colorado, and R.U. Darby's uncle went with the pick and shovel and started mining for gold, and he ended up finding this vein of gold, and he knew that he needed some machinery, drilling and whatnot, to pull it up, to pull all this ore up. So he covered it up, he hid it, he went back home, and he connected with family, friends, and he told them his story, that he had struck gold, but he needed to be funded so that he can buy some machinery to pull this ore up. And he got some family and friends, neighbors together. They chipped in. They had this machinery shipped out, and R.U. Darby and his uncle, they were mining in this particular part of Colorado, and they filled up their first car of this ore, and they had it sent out to a smelter, and it showed to be one of the richest digs that had happened during that time. And they began to dig, to drill, to pull this gold up, and then they had their hopes set that this was it. They were going to become rich, and it was looking that way until this vein of gold stopped. Okay, it just stopped, and they kept drilling, they kept digging for a short time. Nothing. They could not find this vein of gold, so they quit. They ended up selling the machinery to some junk man, and they went back home. All right, in debt as well, because they weren't, even though they were able to get quite a bit of gold, they weren't able to pay for it, the machinery, so they still owed their family and friends and their neighbors. Now, this junk man hired a mining engineer, and this mining engineer calculated that this this vein of gold, they weren't far from it, hitting it again. Okay, so he calculated that they were some 3 feet away, and so they went down. With a team, they started drilling, and this junk man ended up hitting this vein of gold again, and it was he just struck it rich, millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of gold. Okay, and now I say this because R.U. Darby and his uncle quit. They weren't persistent. They were 3 feet away from gold, but they gave up. Now, R.U. Darby caught wind of this. He understood what had happened after he quit, and he vowed never to quit again, that he would be persistent in his life. He ended up selling life insurance, and his mindset was that he would never let anybody, he said, because I was 3 feet away from gold, I will never let anyone tell me no when I'm trying to sell them life insurance. And that was it. He became one of the most wealthiest sellers of life insurance. He became a millionaire himself. But that taught him a valuable lesson: persistence. He was 3 feet away from gold. So, are you persistent in your life? Do you have a goal in your life, something that you've set your hopes on achieving, that you need to continue to chip away at, right? Are you doing it? Are you diligent, right? Or are you close to like throwing in the towel, like it's just not worth it? The results aren't coming as fast as I want. The dream isn't coming as fast as I want. I haven't reached my goal as fast as I thought I could do it. Like, are you persistent, right? You might be 3 feet away from gold. Now, you may not, but you might be. You might have, that business venture, or that, you're in athletics, or you're in jiu-jitsu and martial arts. You want to be a fighter, you want to be a competitor, whatever your thing is, right? Are you 3 feet away from gold? Whatever your goal is, you need to be persistent, right? If your goal is to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu, if your goal is to be an amazing father, husband, if your goal is to be a business owner, if your goal is to own your own company, or to be the manager at your current state of work, be persistent. Work hard, right? It's not just going to work and not just going downstairs or hitting the mat and just attending. You got to do your best. You got to strive for excellence and aim to be persistent, right? Not to give up. And again, I hope this was helpful to you. Again, this is episode 7 of Matt Life for Real Life. This is James Terlecki with Next Level Martial Arts, signing off. Have a great day.